Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It is January 16th, 2024, and it's episode 52. And you know what that means. It's our celebration here in the studio. The party has been going on for a while. And
it started early. It's like, holy smokes. Steve, what are you doing?
I've never seen him smile.
What in the world is wrong with him? This early in the morning already?
That's not his wife, is it? Who is that?
Didn't know he could smile like that. Or I guess if you want to call that dancing.
I think it's dancing. Either that or he's got his pants are on fire. I don't know. But there's a lot of people I've never seen before. I mean, these got to be salespeople from down the hall.
I don't know something. It's always just quiet as a church mouse in here. It ain't today.
We normally have that door open. I'm going to have to probably shut it here in a second. But it's fun to watch these people at eating pizza, and I think there's beer out there. I didn't buy the beer. I don't know.
There's definitely something because Steve's smiling. I don't ever see him smile. So
I really don't like it.
I didn't know. Not right.
Let me go get that door.
Okay. Yeah.
Shoo. That was.
Wow.
I didn't know it was so loud
nice of them
there.
to be rowdy when the recording light is on.
They know. Yeah, the recording, and it flashes. That recording light flashes. So I don't understand.
I don't think they care today.
I don't think so either. So anyway, it is our 1-year anniversary, 52 weeks. We're pretty excited about that. And we've had. Have you listened to the voicemail messages from this week?
No, you were saying they were really good. I've been busy with some other things, so I would love to hear what you got. You got them all recorded for us?
Yeah. We had actually some celebrities calling in and well, pseudo celebrities, some of them, but it's pretty exciting to get phone calls from people that you didn't expect. Here's a few of those messages.
1 year and 52 episodes? What a bunch of I'm just kidding. Love you. Mean it.
I can't believe you made it a year without killing each other. Congratulations.
Congratulations on 1 year. By the way, reach out to me if you'd like a good deal on one of those Teslas that got recalled. See ya.
That's a lot of episodes. I'm just glad to hear some news taking the focus away from Epstein's list, but that's just me.
Congrats on your first year of making podcasts great again. People are saying it's the best. Lots of people. Keep slinging the common sense. I'm proud of you boys.
Congratulations, you two, on 52 episodes. Hope to hear more.
I couldn't believe Morgan Freeman called. It's probably the most exciting one that I had. Oh, wow.
Wow, those are some really nice congratulatory words.
Something like that. I mean, you could use the word congratulatory, I guess. I'm glad we're taking the focus off Epstein's list for old Billy Boy, and
we do what we can,
See, we are for the people, and anyway, want to give you a little heads up. In next week is going to be my last week for at least a few weeks. Hopefully, maybe only 2 or 3. Kind of depends on how everything goes. I've got surgery coming up where they have to remove some offensive parts, and that'll be on the 25th. So next week will be my last one for a couple of days, and we'll talk more about it next week at the beginning. We'll kind of give you an update on what's going on. Some of you know that some of the people that we've kept in touch with through this podcast has begun. We've made some pretty good online friends anyway, and a lot of them are been very supportive in every way. So it's really kind of nice to have that.
So you're gonna be stuck with me and whoever I can round up for. We've already got one guest lined up, so we'll see what we got going, and we'll try to just have fun. It probably won't be the same, but we'll muddle through. We'll be
Yeah,
fine.
we'll figure it out. Yeah, I mean, you're a professional. You're a professional, so it should be.
I'm a professional. I do this for a living because the salary is so big.
That's right. That's right. It's big like the snow you have outside.
It's super fun. Anyway,
an update here in Georgia this morning. It is 19 degrees well, it's almost 12 now, and up in beautiful northern or middle Idaho. You middle Idaho?
no,
Southern.
Southwest Idaho.
It's way up north to me. I don't know.
We're now a balmy 1. Actually, at my house, it says 5.
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
Just almost flip-flop speedo weather.
Wow.
Woohoo!
I'm glad I'm missing that. Hey, we have one quick update. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but we reported on the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine. He vetoed that bill protecting women's sports from biological males participating and keeping parents from giving their kids drugs for surgery, supposedly to change their gender, which we know that's a fallacy. But anyway, in a 65-28 vote, the Ohio House voted to override his veto, which is a big number. 65-28 is very big. And now it goes to the Ohio State Senate on the 24th, which would be a very good thing to see that. That would be a big win for the side of common sense anyway, I think.
And they're saying it looks like it's going to be vetoed. I mean, it's going to be overriding his veto.
Yeah.
Is kind of what the precursor are. We'll see what happens. You never know when rhinos jump ship. It's hard to say.
I know. I've got one more update too, which is before we get into the meat of the program. John Anthony Castro, a Texas man known for his legal efforts to challenge former President Donald Trump, which we have an update on that too. I want to say that his eligibility for the 2024 presidential ballot, Colorado and Maine have tried to take him off the ballot. He has recently been arrested on charges relating to filing false tax documents. He's filed challenges in 27 states, so there's more to come as far as all that kind of stuff goes. But anyway, he was indicted last week on 33 counts of aiding the preparation of false tax returns too. So maybe sometimes when you point out the problems in others, you're just trying to cover up the problems in your own life. I don't know.
Yeah, he may not be available to file any more of those.
He may not be. I think he might be
He's
tied up
going
a
to be
little bit.
busy for a while.
I think so. Anyway, those are our two updates. Oh, and we wanted to talk about the caucus. Last night was Iowa's caucus. And I had that. And of course, Trump won big. He got 51%. Ron DeSantis got 21.2, Nikki Haley got 19.1, and Vivek got 7.7, and that was enough for him to say, I'm out, I'm supporting Donald Trump. So just a little update. I'm sure that unless you're living in a cardboard box somewhere, you've already heard about all that. But that's news this morning. So anyway, in case you weren't sure where the lovely ladies of The View stood on Donald Trump's candidacy, Whoopi Goldberg kind of laid it out for us, so we don't have any more questions. Here she is.
I'm here to say it's ours to lose. It is this country. This is what it's all about. Either you want it to work forward thinking, you want everybody to have the ability to say how they feel, what they want to move forward, or you don't. Or you want somebody who says, I'm going to be on day one, I'm going to be a dictator. Who says it to you, tells you, I'm going to put you people away. I'm going to take all the journalists. I'm going to take all the gay folks. I'm going to move you all around and disappear you. If that's the country you want, you know who to vote for. If that's not the country you want, you have to make a decision.
But that's what MAGA wants. That's what
still in a primary. It may be. They may like that, but I believe the people of the United States will make themselves very clear.
I like when they try to talk over each other. It's like,
wow. Listening to no facts are involved.
No.
Just this is what's going to happen. Oh, you mean like what you're doing now? You're saying the right's going to do what you're currently doing.
Yeah, dictatorship.
Oh, but it's okay for you to do it. But
I think that's exactly
everything they accuse the right of doing. If you look, they're already doing it.
if Trump actually said those things that I was going to disappear gay people, we wouldn't need to get our news from Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg would not be delivering those news. This would be all over everywhere. He never said he was going to be a dictator on day one. I don't remember hearing any of this stuff, but whatever.
Well, they will take stuff out of context for how it is being, he's got to do some things to right the ship, as it were, from all the stuff that was done incorrectly.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's, but as far as dictatorship goes, if you want to think about it, when Biden took office, how many executive orders did he sign the first couple of days?
It's a huge stack of them just sitting there one after another. Oh, Trump did that one. Okay, that's null. Trump, he did that one. Okay, that's null. And now we have, what was the last number I heard? Something like over 10 million have come across the border now and growing.
Yep.
Every month has a new record.
Yeah, and they're looking. I actually have that later on in the show where they're going to talk. They're trying to get these people to where they can vote and where they can get, IDs and serve in the military and the whole thing. It's like I heard somebody say the other day that they should all be required to serve in the military. I think that's a terrible idea personally, because there's a lot of small things that you have to have clearance for. When I was in, I had to have a clearance because I knew all the frequencies that the air traffic controllers and the planes all spoke on. So, and I'm sure that it's all digitized now. That was 40 years ago, but I think that those kind of things could be helpful to terrorists. So you don't want them to know frequencies and plans, flight plans, and all that kind of stuff. I just think that's a terrible idea. And that's just Air Force. I mean, imagine what it would be if they had inside information on what the Army's doing or what the Marines are doing or what they're doing in the Middle East or whatever.
Or how things are conducted in the Pentagon and all. It's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea either.
I don't either.
So, he open the borders so they can have all these, what they think are going to vote for them. A lot of the people they've interviewed coming over go, we came from a country that was like that. Why would we vote for that here? Yeah. And some of it's backfiring on them because I've seen a ton of those kind of interviews with the people.
I told you that I went to church with a guy from Venezuela, and his English wasn't very good, so I knew he was from somewhere. We got chatting about stuff, and but anyway, he was telling me that he's still got his family over there, and he's worried for their safety and the whole thing. And man, he was at that time Trump was president when we talked about it. So what do you think about what's going on with the border and all that kind of stuff? That he wants to build a wall and everything. He goes, I think it's a great idea because all those people that are coming over are not coming from the communist countries like Cuba and Venezuela. They're coming from other places that want to infiltrate their socialist ideas here. And I mean, he had some great insight on all that stuff. And I've heard other things online too from all this. But speaking of voting with all this, this is actually the next story. I thought it was coming up later. We've said all along that the reason those borders were open because they want to get these people to vote. So Mike Johnson, who is our current Speaker of the House, and Jerry Nadler, this is probably from about a year ago on the House floor, they discussed how this is already starting to be implemented. And here's that.
Non-citizens have not been eligible to vote in New York or, as far as I know, in any other state since the 19th century.
That's not true. The New York City Council voted in December to allow this. It begins January 9, 2023. Cities in Vermont and Maryland already allow this, and similar measures are under consideration in Illinois, Maine, and Massachusetts right now.
If the gentleman will yield?
Yes.
I believe those are considerations of allowing votes in municipal elections only.
Right, but thank you. That's the point. Everybody wants to know at home, why would they allow this? Guys, they're allowing it because they're going to turn them into voters. They already are doing this in New York City, largest city in America, and this is the plan of our friends on this side to turn all the illegals into voters. That's it, folks. That's what's going on. See the video, you see droves of people, 2.4 million people coming over the border illegally. The president allowing, the Democrats in charge of Congress are allowing it. The deal is they're going to turn them into voters. You just heard it. They don't have any problem with that. They celebrate it. Here's the deal. We have a problem with it. The Constitution has a problem with it. American elections should be decided by American citizens. That's why we're so upset, because our constituents are frightened that we are losing our country. We're losing our security, we're losing our sovereignty, because we're going to allow people from 160 different countries around the world to come in here and decide our elections. That's it. Here it is on record. You all heard it.
And if you're curious about why Jerry Nadler sounded muffled, he had a big N95 mask on his face. He never looked better.
Hardly anybody else in the room did, but he
Nope.
did.
Yep, he did. He did. Well, when you look like the Penguin from the old Batman series, I mean, you're going to have to. You're not the healthiest guy in the room, so.
It's like, no, they're not doing that. Yeah, they are, and they're working at it now. It's like, no, the Constitution says no. You have to be either a naturalized or a born American citizen to vote. Period.
And just like everything else that has been taken over by the seemingly the left over the years, it's all these small bites. It's only municipalities. It's only the smaller elections, and so it's like they never take these big huge chunks where everybody's going to notice. It's these small things, and then they grow it into the bigger things, and nobody even pays any attention because it's just a small thing. You got to pay attention one way or the other. So.
Yep.
Anyway, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're gonna listen to the audio of Hunter Biden when Marjorie Taylor Greene finally gets up to talk to him, and things went a little awry. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Kendra Rains. These two old dudes crack me up. That's why I listen to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
Wow, look at Brianna do that backflip. Oh, when did she learn that?
Just this week. She's been working hard at it. I hear Jordan made the junior high cross country team.
Yes, he ran every morning for 3 months.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Liz, what's Eric doing right now?
Well, he just passed the 7th level of Halo. He spends all day glued to his video game. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah.
Get your kids out doing something, anything. For help, visit intermountainlive.org. Intermountain Healthcare, healing for life.
Hi, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. This is our 1-year anniversary, by the way, and the party is still going on out there.
They are whooping it up. I keep waiting for Steve to fall over, but
he's looking
I
tipsy.
don't know if that's either a dance or he staggers left and then he staggers right and then he spins because he's trying to get back to where he started. I don't know how that works.
Maybe he broke his leg, a Charlie horse. I don't know what that is.
I don't know that he's feeling it yet. Just so you know,
that woman
today.
That woman that he was hanging on is gone now. So thankfully, we won't have to call his wife.
They're still playing music out there, and he's having a good time. I don't know what he's up to.
Anyway, did you see that Hunter Biden when he was? He was up in front of Nancy Mace, and I don't have the audio from Nancy Mace, but Nancy Mace kind of gave it to him pretty good. She's a bulldog too, but when they switched over to Marjorie Taylor Greene, him and his whole entourage, his whole legal team, got up and walked out. It was pretty funny. Anyway,
Can you do that in a courtroom when you're under a subpoena? I didn't think that was something that was allowed.
I think when your last name is Biden, I think all the rules kind of go out the window.
Yeah, it's like, what's a constitution?
Yeah,
we don't
really.
Constitution? We don't need no stinking constitution.
Well, anyway, here's what that sounded like.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Greene from Georgia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently, you're afraid of my words.
Whoa! Oh!
I'd like to reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman.
Burst their bubble. Wow, that's too bad.
I think it's clear and obvious for everyone watching this hearing today that Hunter Biden is terrified of strong conservative Republican women because he can't even face my words as I was about to speak to him. What a coward.
You know, I don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene's from just west of me. She lives about maybe 25 miles from me. So it's like I follow her on all her social media, and she's a heavy workout fanatic. And I saw her squatting like 315 the other day. She's got videos of her. She's a strong woman. It's like, I could see where Hunter would be the low T guy that he is, be afraid of all that. Oh my gosh. I really wish I had Nancy Mace, because she called him a coward. She called him all kinds of stuff. And it's like, and of course, you had some of the Bidenites in the background going, I can't believe you're saying this. You need to stop. You need to stop. It's like, she had 5 minutes. She gave it to him.
You got 5 minutes to do whatever. And he didn't appreciate it. And he was not going to listen to another one that was going to be pretty close or similar to the previous one.
And at first I was thinking that it was just, his legal team had already decided that when it became her turn, they were just going to get up and walk out. But the more I listen to it, the more I think, I wonder if that was just off the cuff. We got to go. Just get up and leave. But anyway, USA Boxing, it's the national governing body for the Olympic style boxing. They recently decided to allow men who are transitioning or have transitioned to women, which is a joke anyway, can now box in the women's category. Yeah.
No, they're already doing that in the UFC. And there was one girl that got smacked by the guy and broke an orbital bone or something. I mean, it's like, they're not the same. You can say who you are. You're still loaded with testosterone and your other parts are still there.
Absolutely. And somebody who had brought this story home, and as a matter of fact, I saw her on Instagram, and she was kind of going off on all this. And I had never heard of her before, to be honest. Her name is Dallas Malloy. She was she's a very prominent female boxer, and she's recently she was inducted into the Female Boxing Hall of Fame. Okay, I don't watch boxing of any kind, really, so I didn't know that. But this is pretty interesting. It goes on for a couple of minutes, but listen to the words she's saying. She's making a lot of sense.
Hey, everyone. Many of you know I was recently inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame for making boxing history as a 16-year-old when I became the first female to have a sanctioned amateur bout against another female in the U.S. We forced them to set up a women's division. It was awesome. Well, a few days ago, USA Boxing announced that they're going to allow biological males to compete against women. That's right. Well, there's many things to say to this, but first off, USA Boxing, how dare you? How dare you go along with this? No good will come from this. It's a dumpster fire. It's not about compassion. Please, no one be fooled by that. This is about destroying dreams. It's about breaking spirits. It's quite sinister. It's so much beyond boxing. But that's bad enough. I had to fight just to get into the ring. So I would say to the women boxers now who are currently registered at USA Boxing, part of the reason you're there is because of the work that I did. And I'm not saying that someone else wouldn't have done it if I hadn't done it, but I did. And now you have the opportunity. I had to fight just to get into the ring. You may have to fight now. Your biggest fight may also be outside of the ring, which is to refuse to get in the ring as long as they continue along these lines. As long as they keep this up, as long as they keep that in place, where that is the situation where you could be facing a male. You have to refuse. You can't go along with it. Are you going to let them bully you? Are you going to be intimidated? Are you going to be gaslit into believing absurdities and lies? Is this really what you want to do? Boxers are tough people. You're fighters. So you know better. So I just want to know if you're standing with me. And to those people that, think it doesn't affect them, they just want to kind of go along about their lives, just think about it. Very few people are athletes. Even fewer number of those people are boxers. And a very small number of boxers, by comparison, are actually female. So to act like large swaths of the population are all of a sudden, that are men, all of a sudden want to be women, and all of a sudden want to be boxers. It's obvious social contagion, okay? But this is silly. It would be only silly if it weren't so sinister, but it is very sinister. So don't let this go by. It's not okay. This is not time to take a nap. It's time to pay attention and wake up and see what's happening. You're not going to destroy men. You're not going to destroy women. Biology is real. Facts are facts. And so I just want to know if you're going to stand with me. Don't allow yourself to be bullied into things you know are complete fabrications. And by the way, stand up for women. Do women have to get killed in the ring? permanent brain damage. And you might be saying, oh, well, boxers, you're taking that risk. Yeah, we do take a risk. Athletes take a risk. That's part of the game. But it's a calculated risk when you get into the ring with someone of the same gender. Men are so much stronger. If you don't get that, you need to do some research. Yeah, that's not new. I still coach people. I train people. Men are so much stronger. Yes, there's anomalies. You don't make rules for the exception, okay? But stop it. And by the way, the rule says the men have to be over 18, or the boxers have to be over 18. Well, then that means they've gone through puberty. So they have the bone structure. That's even worse. So they want to guarantee that these people have gone through puberty. Think about that. They want to guarantee these men are men, okay? So I don't care if you've had 4 years of hormone therapy and surgeries, whatever. It doesn't matter. The bone structure, it's done, and many other effects that can potentially create permanent damage and have fatal results. That's so basic. Stop it. Are you awake? Are you standing with me? I hope so. And if you're not, God help you. Situations where it comes up.
Yeah, sorry about the audio on that. It was really not very good, but she made exactly the same points that Richard just made. It's like by the time that they go through this transition, their bone structure, their hormone levels, everything is still intact. You can't change that. There's a lot of things you can't change.
Yeah, and they're not taking the hormone therapy and all. No, they're just identify because they're at best a mediocre boxer in the men's ranks. Now in the women, you move them over. Holy crap! And that they can meet weight, whatever it is. It's not good.
No.
It's just wrong. I mean, like she said, facts are facts, and I'm sorry. That's the way that it works.
And I don't understand why all of a sudden this is a political issue instead of just a common sense issue. We didn't have, everything was not politicized. It's like wearing masks and getting the jab. Somehow that's a political issue. Political issues used to be, how do we fix the homeless problem, or how do we fix, whatever's going on in the country? And we have,
what are we going to do about the budget? Yeah. All that kind of stuff. This is no. This is not a political. This is a gender, and I don't care how somebody wants to live their life. It really doesn't matter to me. But when you start jumping ship and going the other way and wanting to be part of this group over here, when you're going to do some serious damage, I got a problem with that. That's just wrong.
Even with the what's that swimmer's name, the one that did all that and ended up
winning something, was it?
I forgot what his name was.
All of a sudden her name, I can see her, blonde hair, everything. I can't think of her name.
Oh no, I was talking about the guy who transitioned and
decided yeah, him, yeah.
Anyway, but it's like he kind of got the ball rolling all this, and it's like, well, yeah, swimming, there's no combative type thing, but at the same time, you're taking things away from these girls that have worked hard all their life to get to the point to where they are, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And if you are going to be standing for women, she is absolutely right. You need to stand for women who are actual women that have sacrificed and done all these things to be the best in the world. I think it's just awful.
Ugh. Anyway,
do you get things in the mail? I know I get them just about every week, if not more than once a week. The We Buy Ugly Houses people or whatever.
Yeah.
It always offends me.
You don't have to do anything. Yeah. You can just move out, leave it. We will clean up and do all that. We will just buy it from you. Yeah. No, you won't.
I'm offended. It's not an ugly house. I mean, but the real estate agents, there's one guy around here, Mark Spain. They have this, and it's all through the Southeast now. It used to be just in Georgia, but they'll give you an all-cash offer through their investment portfolio people, and it's normally a little bit larger than what you would get by selling it, and that's the draw of all that. Which, it always just seemed kind of weird. And I thought, well, I don't know why they would do that. But one stat I just read recently that in the last few years, anyway, 44% of all houses sold in the U.S. have been bought by BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street. And some call them vulture funds, which is, anyway,
well, they're jacking rents up so high people can't even afford to rent the house. That's what they're buying it for, is to get the rent from it. And then the rents go up. And yeah,
But by
it's just
buying a house
wrong.
at a premium, it's causing the prices of all the houses to go up too, and that's why it's gone up so dramatically as compared to what inflation is, which is terrible in and of itself. But housing costs have been they're up 30% in the last 3 years around here, 30%. I mean, well, actually, it's been more than that. It's been probably closer to 50% because it's like I know the house down the street that we just sold in 2020. It sells for now. We sold it for, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I think we sold it for $215, and now it could be sold for like $335. So that's like 50%. That's a lot.
And ours have doubled. Seriously doubled. It should only be maybe 200 for it, but it's well over. My daughter just who lives in California, and I was telling her, I said, yeah, it's 3.5 acres. There's a little small house. We do have a well. We have septic, all that stuff. It's all done up. And that makes it push. And at one time, the peak was just under $500,000. She went, what?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'm doing nothing but just living here. The house needs painted too. So, even at that.
So what I'm taking from that, if I need a loan, I need to just call you.
Yeah, right. Because it's all liquid assets.
So
if it washes away, it'll be a liquid asset.
There was a short report on this whole Vanguard thing here. That is,
Congress is about to attempt to ban BlackRock, Vanguard, any other hedge fund from purchasing homes and turning them into single family rentals in bulk, which has been happening all over the country. In fact, the last 3 years, 44% of new homes have been purchased by hedge funds. And here's what's been happening. They've been buying these homes at a 20% premium, paying way more than anybody else would and or can. And in the process, they've been inflating the housing market, which makes the prices of homes go up. That's why new houses went from $330,000 to $480,000 in 2 years because of that. So despite the fact that the economy is getting destroyed, everybody knows that, everything's very expensive. People don't have a lot of discretionary income. That's why the housing market has been inflated because of these hedge funds doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly. I didn't realize it. That's where I probably heard some of that information, but yeah, it's really getting bad. So anyway,
you're young people and they wonder why. Well, why are you still living in your mom's basement? Because I can't afford to live anywhere else.
At this point in time, 5 years ago, I was not buying that, but nowadays I kind of get it, and hopefully Congress does take some kind of action over all this. And I don't even know what they can do. It seems like they would have to amend the Constitution in order to do anything about it. But I don't know. I don't know what they could do. I don't know what laws would be broken over all this. So anyway, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to listen to Rand Paul talking about the Fauci, and him and the Fauci went at it again this past week, and which is always fun. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
I'm Charmaine Davies, and every week my guilty pleasure is tuning in to the podcast Stay Off My Lawn. It's funny, it's informative, and the guys that present it are just fabulous. So make sure you tune in every week to Stay Off My Lawn and make it your guilty pleasure too.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3, and we're going to kick this.
Boy, we're zipping along today.
We are. We're going to kick this one off with Fauci being in front of Congress recently, and again he admitted that the 6 feet social distancing thing, it just kind of fell out of thin air. He had no scientific basis whatsoever. He admitted it. I can't believe he admitted it.
I know. That just cracked me up. It's like, that sounds good. 6 feet should be enough, right?
But common sense again. I mean, I remember telling my wife this when they came out with this whole our governor here in Georgia, when he was on TV talking about maintain social distancing when you're in the grocery store and all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking, how does that make sense? This is a virus. Even at that point, we knew that this was an aerosolized virus, sort of like the flu, and it kind of like, it didn't matter whether you were 6 feet apart from anybody. It doesn't adhere to gravity like most everything else. It's not like a tennis ball. It's not going to drop to the floor and stay around your feet. It's a virus. So it's like if somebody sneezes at the other end of the store and you walk through it 5 minutes later, you're still walking through it.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious that they put arrows in our local Albertsons so that you would go down this one, back down that one. Nobody followed the arrows around here. They looked at them and went, "Oh, look, they put some stickers on the floor." Man, oh well.
And then you did have the Biden voters would look at you like the old ladies with the big N90 or 2 or 3 masks on. And they'll look at you like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm grocery shopping. What are you doing?" We did see one time, and I don't remember exactly when this was. It had to be the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. We saw this young couple. I mean, and you don't expect to see young people because they were not affected by this really that badly. But they were walking through the grocery store. They both had rubber gloves on, latex gloves on, and they had masks on. They were, and we got in the truck and we put our groceries in there, and they happened to come walking out, and they were parked right next to us. They were driving a Prius. It's like you couldn't script this any better. They were driving a Prius, and they kept their masks and their gloves on the whole time until they got in the car. And they drove off. She was still wearing hers. I don't know whether he was or not, but I'm like going, you have got to be freaking kidding me. It's Kool-Aid, man. They're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Isn't that one of the old things that tell me you're a liberal without telling me you're a liberal? Exactly and a bleeding heart one at that.
That's exactly right. Oh, Rand Paul had had so many multiple run-ins with the Fauci on Senate hearings. And anyway, he was recently interviewed about Dr. Fauci. And here's that.
You know, for a smart guy who seemed to think he was smart enough to give pronouncements as to how we lived, whether we could go to church, how close we could be to each other, whether we should wear 1 mask, 2 masks, ear muffs, or eye goggles, all of this crap he was so smart to inform us on, but he doesn't seem to recall now most of the evidence or science behind it. And when asked whether he funded the research, he said, absolutely, we funded research and I approved all of the research that was funded. I just don't know if there was any oversight if it happened in a foreign country. And I didn't read most of it. He admitted that he did not read most of the research that he approved. Now, what we've been trying to get at for 2 years now, almost 3 years, is that there was an internal process where they go over what they call dual use or dangerous research, gain of function research, every week at the NIH. So the people doing the internal review of this research never sent it to the pandemic committee, which was the ultimate safety committee, but this only happened with Fauci's approval. And this is really the crux of his malfeasance, not just bad judgments on school and masks and everything else, but they allowed this research money to go to China without sufficient oversight, without it going before the safety committee. But essentially, he approved exempting them from scrutiny, and that has not been properly investigated, and he has not gotten proper blame or punishment for what he did in allowing this pandemic to occur. So I'm not done. I'm not finished. I'm not willing to give up on this. I fight every day trying to get Democrats to support any efforts. And if we ever get a Republican president, I will be there in the beginning of the administration, making sure that whoever is appointed to be secretary of HHS gives all access. They're not going to destroy these records because that's probably a crime, but they've hidden them, and I'm going to get every bit of access, but I can only do it with a Republican president. The Democrats will not allow it to happen. But if we get a Republican president, I will get to the bottom of this.
I love it. I love it. You know, I think there's a little bit of personal beef between him and Fauci because.
Oh, well, Fauci tried to call him an idiot, and you don't know what you're talking about. Well, he's also a doctor and a way more than you've ever practiced, Fauci.
He's never practiced at all.
No, so this is someone who, that really teed him off when Fauci said that to him too. I remember the back and forth were, oh goody, another match, and he hits him with a low blow. Now that's an upper right cut.
I liked it because Rand Paul was just so calm and cool and collected and kind of said, you know, you're doing this and you're stupid and it's like you could just see the blood pressure rising in Fauci's face. It's like it's getting red. He's like going, you don't even. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, they were Brandon Paul's right. Sorry, folks.
I'm just glad he's there. There's got to be somebody that's fighting for all this, and thankfully he's that person. We mentioned at the beginning of the show how the caucus, the Iowa caucus, went last night. I think I also saw that Ron DeSantis is skipping New Hampshire and going straight to South Carolina, which is Nikki Haley's home state, and he's going to campaign his butt off in South Carolina and see if he can beat her there. And if that happens, I think she might be demoralized enough to kind of throw in the towel. But if you're a big supporter of Nikki Haley, and it's a free country, you do what you want to do, but her memory loss seems to have kind of gotten as bad as Uncle Joe's. And of course, Uncle Joe doesn't remember what he had for breakfast this morning, unless it was chocolate chip ice cream. Then he would remember that. But here's a clip that Ron DeSantis put on his Instagram page. I stole it off there, and it highlights her stances and how fast she can change her mind. Now, women notoriously change their mind. Don't send me any emails. Goodness gracious, but you do change your mind. Come on now. Everybody knows. Anyway, and she forgot that she had those opinions in the first place, but this is kind of her going back and forth from in time.
Governor DeSantis is hitting you for claiming the retirement age is, quote, way, way too low.
I have never once said that. But what we do know is 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that. We need to do it according to life expectancy.
I never once said Hillary Clinton was an inspiration.
I often say that the reason I got into politics was because of Hillary Clinton.
I never said government should go and require anyone's name.
A huge issue that I'll deal with as soon as I get there is social media. They need to verify every single person on their outlet, and I want it by name.
What I have always said is boys go into a boys' bathroom, girls go into a girls' bathroom. But hold on one second.
When I was governor, they wanted to bring in a bathroom bill, a transgender bathroom bill, and I strong-armed and said, we are not going to have that in South Carolina.
She said the law shouldn't get involved in that. And I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth. We have it on video.
When a 12-year-old child in this country assigned female at birth says, actually, I feel more comfortable living as a boy, what should the law allow the response to be?
I think the law should stay out of it, and I think parents should handle it.
I never said. Okay, here's where you did. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't say that either. Okay, here's where you did.
It's pretty bad. I mean, it's one thing to kind of change your mind on things, but to say you never said it, it was sort of like you could, and I would respect her more if she said, yeah, I did say that, but I said it and I wasn't thinking right, or I've changed my mind since then. I would get that totally.
Or I don't recall saying that.
Right,
that's okay. I'm good with that too.
Yep.
But to say I never, well, I just didn't, and yeah, you did, and so it's in this day and age, you would really argue that way? There is clips everywhere.
Remember the internet? Remember this little thing that Al Gore invented? But in a CNN interviewer, the CNN interviewer back then, he was being dead serious, and it always just kind of like makes me cringe. Someone who has been assigned female at birth. I'm like going, oh my gosh, this is society today, is that we don't talk about female and male. We talk about somebody assigned female at birth. Are you crazy? I mean, how do you not zoom out and go, this is crazy talk? I don't know.
It's not logical. It's not biologically correct. I'm sorry. That's the way you were born. That's the way your body was made.
Nobody.
That's it. I'm sorry.
If you want to say God assigned you that, okay. I mean, no doctor goes, it kind of looks like a female. No, it doesn't work that way.
Mine said that 3 times. Kind of looks like a female.
Yeah, we just had that last year. It happened. It was like deja vu because there was 2 of them.
That's true.
Anyway, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer, he was forced out of the U.S. Space Force this past year for openly criticizing the DEI-heavy environment that the military has embraced since Uncle Joe has taken office. He was testifying. It was really, really an ugly situation that he found himself in. He was testifying in front of Congress, I think it was just last week. And Jamie Raskin, who, if you know Jamie Raskin, he's a congressman. He's a terrible, terrible lefty that is just drank the Kool-Aid. He's all in. He was trying to paint him as in a bad light at the beginning of this clip, but Colonel Lohmeyer, being a smart guy that he is, responded in epic body slam fashion. So listen to all this.
If I understand you correctly, I'm trying to torture out an answer, but what you're saying is that we should have army bases named after Confederate generals or Nazi generals, people we've defeated in war. Is that right?
I'm not willing to let you put words in my mouth. One point that the general made with which I disagree is that diversity is our strength. I don't think there's any evidence for that, but definitions matter. Words matter, and we're losing touch with this. I would reject the notion that diversity is our strength based on DEI definitions of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, I'm going to get away from that because if we're trying to find a unity of understanding, let me say this. Skill and performance matter in the military if you'd like to deter conflict and win our nation's wars, period. As a commander in the military, I had a black colonel fly across the country to promote me to lieutenant colonel because I love the hell out of the guy and respect his views on the Federalist Papers, which he was teaching me after work hours, and because he was the best leader I've ever worked with. The best airman that I had working for me, incidentally, was a transgender airman. So don't bullshit me and say that you think you know what you're talking about. You've never served. You don't understand how this works. We care about performance in the military, period. You don't know what you're talking about. Most of the people in this room don't know what they're talking about. We need lethality in the military, period. All of the stuff you guys talk about, the men and women in uniform don't think about. They go play Call of Duty at night after they learn their mission and execute that mission, period. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what you're voting on. They don't care about your sexual preference. They don't care what you look like, and they don't care what the person next to them looks like, period. I'm a citizen of this country, and I can dislike you and criticize you all I want here, but our men and women in uniform cannot. And so I speak on their behalf when I say lethality matters, merit-based selection and promotions matter, and your ideology doesn't matter one bit. And we need to identify principles which will preserve our union and preserve the unity of the United States military. If we do not, we'll lose that union. And it's my contest. Whatever Truman did decades ago, you ask your average military service member when Truman was the president of the United States, they can't even tell you. But my point is, they're focused on what's happened since the George Floyd riots. There are things that have happened in the last 3 years in our military that we're up here to testify about, not the things that happened 60 years ago. We're great today because of what we've done for the last half century in the fighting of the Cold War.
And Mr. Lohmeyer, what has happened in the last 3 years that has caused lethality to deteriorate in the military?
There's been an overt politicization of the military workplace and the forcing of trainings that are anti-American, that criticize our founders, that allege that white supremacy is a problem within the military ranks, which has never been proven, and all of that rhetoric that occurred once Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin took office led to a bunch of moaning and bitching and complaining behind closed doors of our service members, and I heard it as a commander. And so I wrote a formal written IG complaint about it that was dismissed by senior leaders because they were afraid of the political and racial climate that we've created in this country. And so they were afraid to hold one another accountable for their politics. Senior leaders. So they're not held accountable for their political worldview, but young people will be held accountable. I'm living evidence and a living example of the fact that the diversity initiatives are discriminatory. I was kicked out for saying I'd like to depoliticize the workplace, not for advocating for Republicanism, or small r, Republican, not for advocating for Republican candidates, not for criticizing Democrat candidates. I never publicly advocated for anyone politically, but I was forced out because of viewpoint discrimination. Diversity initiatives are discriminatory, and inclusion initiatives are exclusive of my viewpoint. So, and so I'm living evidence that the politicization of the military workplace in the past several years is discriminatory, and it discriminates specifically against conservatism and Christianity, period.
You make such good points.
Wow, that's saying it in a nutshell, man. That's just it, and they don't want to hear it because that goes against their narrative. But I love you've not been in the military. You don't even know what you're talking about. He's right.
And he's absolutely right, because none of them have any idea. Well, most of them don't have any idea. The ones that do have an idea are the Republican guys, the guys like Wesley Hunt and people like that have honorably served. They get it. Of course, when I served, it was 40 years ago, but he was right as far as that kind of thing goes. We didn't think about, well, I don't want to work with that guy because he's a black guy, or I don't want to work with that guy because he's Hispanic. Nobody thought that. I mean, we're talking the early 80s. Nobody thought that. I don't understand.
You're a good person. You're a good person. You're doing your job, and I can trust you to cover my back. That's who you want to deal with.
Yep, absolutely. And side note too, Lloyd Austin, he just got admitted for prostate cancer and the whole thing, and I hate that. But he didn't tell anybody that he was going in. Even the secretary, the assistant secretary of defense, was on vacation. Didn't even know she was in charge while he was out. He didn't tell anybody. Tell me that you're not integral in your job if you've got world conflicts going on and you're the DoD secretary and nobody notices that you're gone for 3 days. Just saying.
Yeah, well, almost 4. Yeah. He didn't tell anybody, and nobody knew that he was gone. Really? Well, Biden didn't know, but I don't think he knows when anybody's not there.
He still thinks he's a senator. I heard that the other day. He said something about him being a senator. He was at a coffee shop. It's sad, but it's funny. Anyway, we're up against another break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the social media companies and what some states are doing about their what the social media companies are doing to our kids, especially. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
If you're in our demographic, it might be a good time to go and pee. We'll be right back in just a minute.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, 90% of new car buyers want that tried and true AM/FM radio option. That's because your local radio stations are reliable, trustworthy, and bring you a local connection that can't be replicated. Not to mention, it's free. No subscription or cellular data required. More than 80 million Americans each month depend on AM for their news, weather, local sports, and entertainment, plus talk radio. Help keep AM radio an option in new cars. Text AM to 52886. You'll get an auto-filled email letter to send to Congress urging them to keep AM radio in cars. Again, text AM to 52886. Brought to you by your friends at the Stay Off My Lawn podcast. All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. We are almost done, so hang it. Is the party still going on over there? Can you see?
I just took a quick little break and went out, and I'm having to send Steve home. Everybody else looks like they've gone back to work, but he is still listening to tunes, and I still, again, can't tell if he was dancing or just trying to stay upright. So I've sent him home. It's yay! We celebrated our 1 year. It's over now, Steve.
You got him an Uber.
He looked so sad when I told him that.
Well, I think the pizza's gone. I was going to get a piece of pizza and I didn't see any. So
yeah, they didn't bother to save any for us.
I think that's why they left.
We the important ones.
You would think they don't care. They don't. Well, that's why these people showed up, because we never saw most of those people before, and all of a sudden we got free food and drinks, and it's like everybody from the whole office is here.
They come out of the woodwork. What? Who are you?
What do we pay you for again? I have no idea.
Ah, yes. People in sales become scarce, except for when there's free food.
That's exactly right. Well, we just lived that, didn't we? Well, anyway, we have spoken about you did buy him an Uber, right? Because Steve didn't like.
Yes, I got him. He will be dumped out in his driveway soon.
Jeez. His wife will be calling anytime now.
I don't want
I got to
that.
turn off my ringer. We've spoken recently about social media companies and how they're bad for society and the fabric of our First Amendment rights, especially. In the last few years, they've been. I think they have part of their programs is to keep people engaged. I don't know if you ever watched it, The Social Dilemma. It's a great movie, but it kind of gives you some insight on what they do behind the scenes to kind of keep you engaged and keep you on the app and keep you scrolling. It doesn't work for us older folks too well, but the younger people, it seems like it works very well. But Washington State is starting to do something about it. It seems like they're on the cutting edge of this, surprisingly to me. Their Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, had this to say recently.
So today we're announcing a federal lawsuit against Meta. Meta, of course, is the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, for knowingly harming the mental health of young social media users. In short, Meta intentionally designed its social media platform to be more addictive to kids and young people. This federal lawsuit and others across the country are the result of a multi-year bipartisan investigation by nearly every attorney general across the United States. Now, one thing I want to mention up front, it's important, is that Meta is claiming that many of their internal documents that we have sought through the process, including those showing that it knew was harming kids, should be kept confidential. And we are asking the court, of course, to make those documents public.
Why in the world would they want it confidential if they're not hiding anything?
Yeah, it's the same thing we ask of others. Oh, and this Washington State Attorney General has been real busy. Now they're suing for if you've heard the big merger between Kroger and Albertson stores, they're suing against that because it's going to really harm their economy. They will be closing over 100 stores, grocery stores in the state of Washington because they're across the street from an Albertsons, or in that case, a Safeway, which is owned by Albertsons. There is a Kroger. Well, they're not going to you can't have them both together like that anymore. So, he's been real busy. And, Facebook, it's like, just one more story. Come on, just one more story. That's all I need.
Now, Richard and I send things to each other on Instagram constantly. So it's like sometimes I'm on there like 10 minutes, but I'm listening to clips that he's found, his wife has found and sent to him, and then he sends them to me. My wife has found things and sent them to us. It's like we had 3 hours worth of content we could put in this show this week, and we just didn't feel like that would be good.
Yeah, there was just too many good stuff going on, and it's like, so we picked the best of what we felt like talking about.
we put a couple aside for next week. I don't even know if we're going to get to them next week, but it's been a busy news week for sure. But that's the only reason that I'm on there very long at all, just because I'm watching the stuff that you send me, or I'm watching the stuff that gets suggested to me, the news clips. I follow all these congressmen and news media types that I think actually have some common sense, which is not a whole lot of them. But Sky News Australia.
Who are you accusing of having common sense?
Yeah, that was wrong of me. Sorry.
What were you thinking?
Oh, gosh. Jesse, speaking of news people, Jesse Waters from Fox News recently went over all the allegations that Trump took money from foreign entities, which ended up being nothing. But when it comes to the Biden family taking money from Ukraine, China, Russia, and of course, 10% for the big guy, nothing to see here. This is actually pretty good what he put together.
Oh, yeah. And the song, If Loving You Is Wrong, China, I Don't Want to Be Right. So you have to add that it's the new version.
Yeah, because Wish.com and Temu.com is all part of all that. We got to have cheap crap. So anyway, here's Jesse's story.
Good news. Democrats say if you take money from China, you can't be president. Bad news. It only applies to Trump.
The Oversight Committee of the House of Representatives has discovered corruption of foreign influence peddling by a president of the United States.
You just can't take any money from foreign governments.
The president cannot receive any payments or gifts from a foreign source.
This is about foreign payments and bribes to the president of the U.S. from multiple foreign governments and countries. This has never happened before in American history.
If that information had come to light while he was in office, it would certainly be grounds for impeachment.
Democrats spent the last 7 years investigating if Trump's corrupt, and what they come up with? Some foreigners stayed at Trump's hotels while he was president. That's it. 7 years. And by the way, Trump didn't even own the hotels while he was president. He transferred ownership to his sons. And what the sons do with the money? They didn't buy hookers and crack with it. Any money that came from foreigners was donated to the U.S. Treasury. That's the scandal. They took the money and they gave it back to you, the taxpayers. You want to know the main difference between the foreigners spending money on the Trumps and the Bidens? The Trumps have a business. What do the Bidens have? 20 shell companies.
There you go. That's laid out nicely.
What? You mean they were doing business? What? And it's never happened before because it's happening now. Because they have the checks, they have all the stuff, and nothing is being done. I don't get it. There is evidence, just black and white, and still nothing's being done.
Again, when the DOJ is in the pocket of whoever's sitting in the White House, there you go.
That's not good.
Nope. And they're certainly not going to bite the hand that feeds him, because that he takes care of them people. So anyway, we have a little bit of a different palate cleanser today. It's not one that's
it's not really super cleansing, but it is prophetic,
Orwellian, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Back in 1965, Paul Harvey recorded something called "If I Were the Devil." It seems that God has used this man in his insight to show us the future from 1965, looking forward. You'll be surprised that it was 1965, how accurate some of this stuff was. And I'm sure most everybody who's over 50 has heard this before. But Richard and I know have heard it several times over the years. But every time I'm amazed at how spot on a lot of these predictions were. Anyway, it's about 3 minutes, but it's riveting. So here's that.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. the diseases with no cure. I mean, AIDS didn't come out until the 80s. If you remember, that was kind of the new thing. And so, I mean, he saw the future. He was a very smart guy.
It's just, you look at it and go, and this is from 65 to now. And it's, that's all what's taken place.
Yeah. Over the last 60 years, we have seen all of that get started, and especially the crappy stuff that's on TV and how filthy everything is anymore. I mean, if a movie doesn't have some kind of filth in it, it doesn't really make it. So yeah, it's kind of depressing, but at the same time, you can clean your palate with that, because at least you're more aware of what is been the plan all along, I guess.
Yep. It really hasn't changed. It just keeps getting, and now they're really pushing hard to the point where people are going, okay, no, that's enough.
Yeah.
You're not doing any more. And people are bowing their neck, if you want to call it that. And it's about damn time.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. But for so long, like we talked about earlier in the show, it's like, it's all these tiny bites. And before you know it, then we've given away everything. All the like he was talking about prayer in school back in 1965. That was a thing. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance was still a thing when Richard and I were in school. I guess they don't do that anymore. I think they do it around here, but in a lot of places they don't do it. And they may not do it around here. I don't know. My son graduated in 2009, so I don't know what's going on now. But it's a little sad, and hopefully we get. Yeah, I'm not saying it's Trump. I'm not saying it's DeSantis. Whoever gets in there, hopefully can kind of steer us towards the right path instead of the path we're on.
Right the ship, as it were, just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you just want to find all of our podcasts, you can go to our website, stayoffmylawn.us, for all our past and present episodes.
Oh, and by the way, we are putting full episodes are on YouTube. Also, it doesn't have our lovely faces on them, but you can go there to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@stayoffmylawn. And one more thing, too, is that we had all the voicemails from earlier in the show. If you want to call us and leave a voicemail, that's great. It's 770-727-6443, 770-727-6443. And you leave us something funny, we might play it on the air. I don't know. That's what we did this week. But of course it was famous people. So anyway,
sure was. Okay.
And don't forget, next week is my last show for a little while, and we will give you more details on what's going on there. A lot of you know, but a lot of you don't. So we'll give you some more details on what's going on with me, and we will see you next week, folks.
Thanks for being with us. Toodles. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Well, mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.